In the world of The Witcher, there are monsters feared for their strength. There are creatures whose appearance alone inspires terror. But there are also beings humanity feared long before Witchers ever existed. The Chort is one of them, a massive horned creature living near villages, on the edges of fields, deep in the forests, among swamps and forgotten trails. To peasants, a Chort is not just a monster. It is something closer to an ancient spirit, a being connected to the land, harvest, forest, and the fears of ordinary people. And today we will explore what Chorts are, why they are considered some of the oldest relics, how they differ from other fiends, how they behave, and why encounters with them rarely end well. The Chort belongs to the relic category, and relics are among the oldest types of beings in the Witcher world. Unlike many monsters that appeared after the conjunction of the spheres, relics feel as they have always existed. A Chort is a massive humanoid monster covered in fur, with enormous horns, long arms, beast-like legs, and almost inhuman physical strength. But the most interesting part is its face, because at the same time there is something animalistic, something human, and something demonic about it. That is exactly why people confused Chorts with demons for centuries. Although in the Witcher universe they are not demons in the religion sense. They are ancient creatures of nature. The image of the Chort is directly connected to Slavic folklore. In old legends, a Chort lived near villages, misled travelers, stole food, could harm farms and livestock, and was often associated with forest and wild. But the interesting part in this, in many ancient stories, the Chort was not always pure evil. Sometimes it was portrayed more as a dangerous spirit, wild creature, an embodiment of nature's chaos. The Chort is not simply a monster to kill. It feels like a natural part of the world itself. Many people confuse Chorts with Fiends, but there are important differences between them. A Chort is larger, slower, physically stronger, and more deeply connected to the forest and the land. A Fiend is more aggressive, faster, more chaotic, and more likely to attack humans directly. Fiends resemble furious predators, but a Chort feels like an ancient being that simply sees humans as an annoyance. And that difference matters. A Chort does not always seek conflict, but if someone invades their territory, the consequences can be horrifying. Chorts prefer old forests, fields near villages, swamps, untamed wilderness, especially places where nature has not yet been fully conquered by humans. Sometimes peasants even leave offerings, food, grain, animals, because they fear angering the creature. And this introduces an interesting theme. In many stories, people live near a Chort for years, as long as they do not cut down too much forest, do not venture too far, do not cross its boundaries. A Chort is an extremely territorial creature. It sees the surrounding lands as its own. And if humans push too deeply into its territory, the monster responds. But the Chort rally attacks immediately. At first, strange things begin happening. Livestock disappear. Animals grow nervous. People become lost in the woods. Strange noises are heard at night. And only later do the deaths begin. That is what makes the Chort especially disturbing, because the feeling of danger arrives long before the monster itself appears. A Chort is not an animal. It is intelligent enough to avoid traps, choose the right moment to attack, memorize territory, understand human behavior. Sometimes it feels like as a Chort has been watching people for weeks, and that makes the fear even worse. Most Chorts do not hunt humans for food. Usually, attack happens because of territorial threats, aggression, or human interference. A Chort is one of the most physically powerful relics. It can break trees apart, overturn wagons, kill people with a single strike. Its horns are not just decoration. In many encounters, the Chort literally charges through opponents like a battering ram. But the most terrifying thing is its sheer mass. When a Chort attacks, it feels almost like a living tank. Despite their brute strength, Chort also possess supernatural abilities. In the games, they can create shockwaves, use magical attacks, temporarily stun opponents, but the most importantly, they are deeply connected to nature. During the combat, it feels as though the land itself is helping the creature. There is also a famous Eastern act involving a Chort in The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. After the game launched, many players discovered a fast way to earn money. They repeatedly slaughtered cows for hides and meat, meditated, and then repeated the process. If the player kills too many cows, a special monster appears, a high-level Chort called Bovine Defense Force Initiative. Essentially, it is a massive relic that immediately attacks the player, and it became one of the most famous developer jokes in the entire game. What makes it especially funny is how perfectly it fits the Witcher lore, because the idea itself feels like an ancient being protecting the land and animal from human greed. The Witcher world is built around the conflict between humanity and nature, and the Chort reflects this theme perfectly, because it is ancient, connected to the land, hostile toward civilization, and sees humans as intruders. It does not want to conquer the world, it simply protects what belongs to it. And that is exactly why the Chort feels so believable. There are monsters faster than a Chort. There are creatures smarter than a Chort. But the Chort inspires a very specific kind of fear, because it reminds people of ancient human fears. Fear of the forest, fear of the darkness, fear of something enormous waiting beyond the trees. It feels like a creature pulled from very old legends, and that is exactly why it works so well in The Witcher. The world of Witcher is full of monsters, but very few are so deeply connected to nature itself. A Chort is not just an enemy. It is an ancient force that existed long before humans, and perhaps it will remain long after they are gone.